Stop it. That's not okay. Unacceptable. So here's the embarrassing truth that just happened just now. In these trying COVIDular times, I have a variety of masks because I'm not an asshat. One of these is one of those fun tubular cylindrical cylinders. It's a piece of cloth that has a hole in each end. And you can put it on, the top of your head and give it a twist and pull it back down. You got a beanie, or you can do a couple of cool inside out move and like, hey, I got a pirate scarf. Or you can pull it down over your face and pull the excess over itself and have a double-walled mask, which you can then pull down around your neck like a sweet-ass neckerchief, because those are words that are always used together, sweet-ass, my neckerchief. And that's what I was wearing when I recorded the original episode 2, now lost to the annals of time, because I had fed the lightning connector headphones with inline microphone. For some reason, aside, addendum, in parentheses, I love describing them that way. A little bit of tech jargon. I don't know why. It tickles my funny bone. Where were we? Thinking I was keeping the microphone more secure for you, dear listener, I had fed the cables underneath that neckerchief and then into my ear. I turned on the monitor function briefly so I could hear it. Sounded great, and I began my pacing around my little locked cage. There was a constant sound on the microphone that just honestly sounded awful. That was frequent yet intermittent, by which I mean there was no beat to it, there was no rhythm, there was no, hey, I can at least pretend that I'm remixing myself. No, it was just noise, just useless noise, if I can quote Herbert Greenleaf. So I got rid of it, just deleted it. 31 minutes. 31. That's epic. That is the longest solo podcast I have ever been a part of. It's also the second solo podcast I've ever been a part of, but I think you understand what I'm saying. What's this, Rob? Does that mean you have another podcast? I do. Am I going to promote it here? I'm not yet, and I'll tell you why. Not because it's not awesome. 59 episodes, going strong. No, it's because my podcast co-host, when we came up with the idea for it, was like, hey, let us put this podcast on YouTube. Look, I already covered this in the podcast you'll never hear, but I'll touch on it broadly again now for you ingrates. So he wanted to put it on YouTube because, hey, freedom, right? But by freedom I mean free, no cost, no pocketbook dinging. And I said, no way. We need a podcast host. We need an RSS feed. We need all the things. A proper podcast. We're not going to do this the cheap way. And you know what? I stand by it. I like it. I like it's showing up in iTunes. I like that kind of thing. But at the same time, I got to say, I'm doing this one for free on YouTube. So, does that make me a dick? Kind of. I'm not going to pay for a second podcast where I'm just fucking rambling with no direction. That's ridiculous. And this is more of an audio blog. An oblog. Oh, we talked about so many things last time. So many great and wondrous things. We talked about voice actor Michael Bell, whose name I did not know at the time. And Ghost, you discovered it with me. But Ghost U's not there for me now. Do you know why? Because I deleted that podcast. And it's in Ghost Heaven. Maybe. Probably didn't make it to Ghost Heaven, if you know what I mean. Oh, we talked about the Scott Baio hosted Saturday morning cartoon coming attraction special that I had taped for me in the early 80s. And I watched it for years, long after some of those shows were probably canceled. Scott Baio and the Kraft Puppets. We're not going to go into that again now. No, that would be crazy. So then what? What do we talk about? I don't know. So does that mean let's talk about the intricacies of Ferrite, the current podcast app I'm using. Because usually, for a more of a sit down discussion podcast, I will have my Zoom H6 for recording audio, which I will just record and then sync up with my co-hosts. We'll edit it together in Audacity, put it out. Hey, cool, great sounding podcast. This one, I'm using the Lightning connector headphones with inline microphone, which it does work. And I'm monitoring myself this time. I'm not hearing any sort of extra ambient noise, so hopefully it sounds better than yesterday's holding the phone in my hand like a mini cassette voice memo recorder. Either way, I put it on YouTube. It's free. It doesn't need to sound like the bee's knees, because it's more for expelling the synaptic misfiring demons in my head. Having these huge swaths of inaction, conversational inaction, because I exhausted a lot of random stream of consciousness rabble earlier. Now, my stream of consciousness is dammed up. What do I talk about? There was something. My pacing has slowed down too. Should have some more coffee. We'll see what happens. Someday, dear listener, I'll have some yerba mate. That will be an interesting conversation. Is it a conversation with yourself? Is this whole thing a soliloquy? Is that what I'm doing here? Is this Cyber Hamlet? Oh, this too solid flesh would melt, am I right? Like, everyone goes for it to be or not to be. It's nice to have a lesser known quote in your back pocket, just for occasions like that. It's the equivalent of something. It's definitely the equivalent of something. I'll tell you that. For nothing, really. Literally. But it's good. If you take your favorite thing, have your favorite quotes, but get one extra one that no one's going to know about. That way you can just throw it out there and be like, hey, this guy's put a little more extra work into it. This is a tidbit of free advice from me to you. Go forth and wow the gender of your choice. It's a bold promise. I doubt that's going to happen, but hey, if it does, you're welcome. If it doesn't, what the fuck are you getting your advice from a free podcast for? More shame on you than I. I know you don't remember from last time. What a memento concept. We've already had this discussion, but you don't remember anything I just said. And more tellingly, I only partially remember it because it's coming back to me. I'm like, oh yeah, we talked about it last time. Freebird, still stuck in my head. Just kind of weird. Now, what if this one has some sort of audio interfluence? What if this one has some sort of audio interfluence that I can't hear or register until I sit down to edit it with my Ferrite podcast recording application? Will I have to delete that one as well? Maybe. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll have to delete it and record a third one, old-timey voice memo style. Well, let's hope that doesn't happen. Because it's not like I'm going to not walk in a circle while doing this. That's part of the whole charm. Oh, you're charmed. No. No need to protest. I know. You're charmed. You know what? That was problematic. I don't like that. I'm taking it back. You can feel free to not be charmed. I'm not going to tell you what you are. Oh, you know what you missed last time? I can't recreate it. That would be disingenuous. Totally walked into the coat rack. I was looking one way, I was pacing, slammed into it. There was kerfuffle. Kind of amusing. But, I mean, not really. It was the highlight of like the first 2 minutes of that 31-minute podcast episode. Is it a podcast? It's not. No. No, it's not. I'm gonna go ahead and come out on a limb here. It is not a podcast unless it's been published. So, I mean, you could argue it's not a podcast if it can't be caught by a pod, but that term's a little more free, a little more ubiquitous nowadays. So we'll go ahead and say it's a podcast. Has to be published. Otherwise, it was a failure recording. And that's all that one ever was, a failure. And it's gone now. Oh, Ferrite has this sort of like, hey, we'll keep it for 30 days in case you change your mind. Pretty sure I deleted both. By both, I mean, I recorded it on my phone, sent it to my iPad, deleted it from both, and had to go into the super secret deletes and delete it from there. But it's gone. It's super gone. Look, I should have thought of that before I started weaving my microphone cables into and out of cloth. Hey, cool, exercise goal achieved. I would explain the sheen of sweat across my forehead. You didn't need to hear that. I'm sorry. For some reason, I keep thinking about Tron. What's that about? The original Tron. You know how, like, early 80s, Flynn's Arcade, Jeff Bridges is taking his shirt off and screeching in his Jeff Bridges-y way. I love that part, too, because I always love it when an actor kind of stumbles. And I guess it could be something that happens in real life because you're searching for a word that happens to us all multiple times a day. But there's something about when an actor does it and you're like, now, do they just not want to take it again because they were having trouble with it? And the director was sick of it, and the director talks themselves into thinking, oh, it's something everybody does, we'll just leave it. Because Jeff Bridges is sitting there with Tron and Lady Tron, I want to say Nala. I know both of those are wrong. His ex-girlfriend, Bruce Boxleitner's current girlfriend, and he's like, because, man, inside one of these systems is the data. Or the proof or the evidence, whatever it was. He has like 2 stumbles. And you're just like, really? That was not really that hard of a line, Jeff. Okay. I mean, clearly you're fixating on it, but I suppose it's possible. The other big one for me that I was like, what's going on here? Is like the first 5 minutes of Harry Potter and the sorcerers / philosophers, depending on what side of the pond you're on. Maggie Smith totally has that same moment where she says, I've been watching them all day, and they're the worst sorts of muggles imaginable. Like, she's like, I have to say muggles? Really? I mean, I will, because you're paying me how much? Ugh, yeah, no, I'll say muggles. I will say shh. I'll say muggles. Sure, I played the goddess Thetis in Clash of the Titans, but I'll say the word muggles. It's just me, Richard, and Robbie in this scene? And a little prop baby? Sure, I'll say muggles. Oh, I've waxed long about Robbie Coltrane as Hagrid. Not specifically as Hagrid, but as his turn in as the ghost of, I think, Christmas Present? Christmas Past? I don't honestly know which one it is. He's certainly built like the ghost of Christmas Present, but sometimes that gets fluffed. And you're like, I don't know, either past, either present, either past, either present. Point is, he was in Blackadder's Christmas Carol, basically playing Hagrid some 6 years before he played Hagrid. Maybe even longer. Might have been like 89. I don't know. Point is, huge beard, knocks on the door falls down. Sorry about that. And I can always imagine young J.K. Rowling going, hey, that's a thought. What if he was knocking on the door of a boy wizard? Yeah. Look, I'm just saying without Rowan Atkinson, there would be no Harry Potter. That's all I'm saying. It's a fair statement, I think. I've assessed it mightily. If someone else had this thought, I don't know. I don't know all the media that's out there. Get off my back. What the fuck do you think you are? I'm sorry. I feel like I yelled at you in the Ghost Pod as well. Ghost Pod. Ghost Pod the call. No, it's not going to work. And that's what happens. My brain is a slippery miasma of portmanteaus. I just want to mash things together like a hadron collider of syllables. Because sometimes I have something great and glorious, and sometimes I'll have ghost protocol. It sounds like ghost port of call New Orleans. It's not easy being me, but only because it's so much effort. I know it's harder for a lot of other people who have to deal with this and listen to it on a regular basis. How lucky for you, dear listener, that you can just tune in whenever you want. Did I say my stream of consciousness was damned? Or was that in the last one? I know I ranted a bit about hauntings, but it didn't feel natural, so we're not going to go into that this time. Maybe we'll save that for like a Halloween episode. It was a Subway commercial. I don't know if I can go back to Subway. I mean, when it's tasty, but the last time I went to Subway, just everything looked awful. There was like a piece of wilty spinach in the tomatoes. Everything looked dingy and gross and crumpled and rumpled. And I swear there were spots on something. Maybe it was just like the banana peppers, and one of them had that weird bruising that peppers sometimes get. I don't know. I felt grossed out. And halfway through making the sandwich, I was just like, you know what, dude? No. This is not acceptable. And he just looked at me, and he nodded like, yeah, I know. And it was such a sad moment of defeat for the Subway guy. I was like, wow, that's sad. It's not sad enough to make me eat your crumpled Subway food, but it was sad. With your 11-inch bread and just, no, man, come on. Your Subway. Sub up. I don't know. I wish I knew, but I don't. 2 to 4 more minutes and we'll have a good sitcom length. Probably won't leave that in. That's unnecessary. But then again, it's filler, and that's what I need right now. And I don't know how to soft shoe. I always like to pretend like I do. Like, hey, now the soft shoe portion. I can't dance. That's not a metaphor. I cannot dance. I don't like it. I don't like dancing. It feels fake. It feels like, hey, I'm doing this thing that everyone around me is doing, but I'm not connecting with it the way that they are. And I'm not even getting any kind of secondary by osmosis, I'm part of a group that's doing this thing, connection. I'm being a fraud. And for what? For what? For what reason? For what purpose? I would rather sing. I'm not saying I'm great at that. I'm not. But I still get enjoyment. I will sing with abandon, good or bad. But dancing, I'm just like, woof. Can we just not? Can we not do this thing? Other people want to dance, you dance. I'm going to sit or sing. See what I mean? Don't care. I'm not looking back. You have to deal with it. I'm moving on. But I'm far more comfortable with that than I am with tappa, tappa, tappa. I swung my arms while I said that and just continued walking. Isn't that funny? I went tappa, tappa, tappa. Again, you can't see it. Why am I showing this to you? Because I'm a visual medium. That's sad when it comes to podcasts, really. It's going to be weird to be Jack Nicholson, right? I know that seems like a left turn. I know it is. It is. But I'm watching, there's like an infomercial. Is it an infomercial? Probably an infomercial. It's some kind of best of Robin Williams, order now and we'll send you 2 DVDs of the best of Robin Williams. And they're showing him, and it's just all sorts of clips. Him from Mork and Mindy, him on stage with Richard Belzer, him on SNL with Dana Carvey playing his son, which is funny because it's Dana Carvey doing an impression of Robin Williams next to Robin Williams, while the part I was talking about was Robin Williams on stage with Jack Nicholson clearly impersonating Jack Nicholson. So imagine you're Jack Nicholson. I'm not going to do a Nicholson. It's not happening. I've been doing that since I was 5, not knowing who Jack Nicholson was, because I used to watch this HBO special, maybe it was Cinemax, I don't know. My parents had recorded Rich Little, A Night of 42 Stars, and I'm like, hey, here's a guy who likes doing voices and makes my parents laugh. I should do that. So I just, copied the Rich Little video. And it was Paul Lynde, Burt Lancaster, Jack Nicholson. I didn't know who any of these people were, but I was doing impressions of them. It's weird. I'm not doing that now. Because why? Why would you do a Jack Nicholson? Everyone has done a Jack Nicholson. It's a waste of time. I will talk about not doing it and then not do it and leave you unsatisfied. That's fun. Point is, I was up there watching Jack Nicholson clearly being Jack Nicholson And I wasn't considering, was he mad about it? He might have been. He might have been putting on the brave face of, this is Jack Nicholson, not doing the voice of Jack Nicholson, because I already told you I wasn't doing that. But just to be, I'm so iconic that everyone does an impression of me, but I don't consider, I mean, that's just me being me. Isn't that weird? To have someone just, I had someone do an impression of me once, and it was just, Bleh! That was it. And I'm like, oh shit, that was frighteningly accurate. Okay, maybe that's what that feels like. But to have so many people do it, and then, there's got to be people on the street running up to Nicholson and saying, hey, I'm going to do an impression of you now. Oh, this again. Okay, here we go. Do me. That's gotta be rough. You don't often think about it from that side of the coin? Mirror? I don't know. I bet he's a sweet guy. Well, let's hope he's a sweet guy. Let's say that. Okay, I think it's time to sign off. At this point, I've been talking for nigh on 50, maybe even 60 minutes. But you're only going to get half that. You're not even going to get half that. Hopefully you'll get this one. Hopefully I don't sit down and be like, oh no, this one sucks too. No, hopefully it'll be 2 and done. And we'll do it all again next week. Maybe we'll do 2 again next week, because I've got Saturday and Sunday to do this. And it's just a thing for me, really. But if you listen to it, hey, thanks. And if you didn't, hey, why not give it a chance? That's why I always put my entreaty at the end of the thing you haven't listened to, because that makes a lot of sense. Anyway, generic sign-off.